I never even kissed a boy. I was the quiet, invisible girl who always kept her head down. So when I missed my period, I panicked. At first, I thought it was just stress from exams or maybe something I ate. But then, 2 weeks passed, and my stomach started to feel strange. I told myself I was overthinking. Maybe it was hormones, maybe anxiety. But then I noticed my clothes felt tighter, and I was nauseous every morning. I finally told my best friend Zara. Could I be pregnant? I whispered. She stared at me like I was joking. Have you done it with anyone? She asked. No, I shouted. Never, not even close. Zara frowned. Then that's impossible, right? But I knew my body. Something was changing. I felt it in my bones. Zara dragged me to the pharmacy and made me take a test. I laughed nervously. This is stupid, but my hands trembled as I held the box. 10 minutes later, I screamed. The test was positive. I dropped it, backing away like it would explode. Zara's face turned white. That has to be wrong. We bought more tests. Both positive. I stared at my reflection in the mirror. How can this be happening? I've never even held hands with anyone. Zara asked if I'd had surgery, a blood transfusion, or blacked out at any party. No, nothing like that. I cried. I don't drink. I don't party. We decided not to tell anyone, not yet. I needed answers. We booked an appointment at a free clinic across town under a fake name, just in case. The clinic felt cold and sterile. The nurse smiled politely, but I could feel her judging eyes. Any chance you're just confused about how pregnancy works? No, I said firmly. I know how it works. That's the point. It shouldn't be possible. She raised an eyebrow but scheduled me for an ultrasound anyway. When I saw the blurry shape on the screen, my world stopped. You're about 10 weeks along, the doctor said. Congratulations. I didn't feel congratulated, I felt trapped. Do you remember anything unusual happening 10 weeks ago? Zara asked. I shook my head, trying to think. I was sick around that time. With a fever, Zara's eyes widened. What if something happened when you were sick? You were at that private hospital, right? The one your dad insisted on? I nodded slowly. My dad paid extra for that hospital because he said the public one was too risky. But now it felt like that place was the real danger. We pulled up hospital records online. I was admitted with a high fever and unconscious for 2 nights. But no one ever told me what happened during that time. I asked my mom that evening while she cooked. What happened while I was at the hospital? She paused, too long. Nothing serious. Just rest and IVs. I looked into her eyes. She was lying. I felt it in my stomach deeper than the baby. She knew something, but why was she hiding it? I couldn't sleep. What if someone did something to me at the hospital? What if I was unconscious and I didn't even want to finish the thought. Zara and I made a plan. We'd go to the hospital and ask for my patient file. We'll say we're working on a school report, she said. The front desk lady was suspicious. Medical records are confidential, she said. I lied and said my mom gave me permission. We just need a copy for class. She finally gave in, but only a printout summary. I scanned it desperately. One line stood out. Fertility research sample obtained during sedation. My blood ran cold. What the hell does that mean? Zara whispered. I didn't know. But suddenly, my pregnancy without doing anything had a new, horrifying possibility. I was part of a test. We Googled. The doctor listed Dr. Alenko. He wasn't a regular OB. He was a fertility specialist who worked with private donors. But why was he listed in my file? I confronted my parents that night. Did someone do something to me at that hospital? While I was asleep? My mom went pale. My dad froze in place. You weren't supposed to find out, Dad finally said. My heart stopped. He knew. My own father knew something was done to me and didn't stop it. We were desperate, he continued. We needed money. A research grant offered a lot. And they promised you wouldn't be harmed. You were just supposed to be a carrier. A carrier? I screamed. You sold me like a surrogate while I was unconscious? My mom started crying. We thought it was safe. We didn't know it would actually work. I ran out of the house. The world felt unreal. I wasn't just pregnant, I was used. I didn't even choose this. I was a walking experiment. I crashed at Zara's place that night. Her parents didn't ask questions, they saw my swollen eyes and just offered me a blanket. I couldn't stop shaking. How could my own parents do this to me? I whispered in the dark. Zara wrapped her arm around me. Because people care more about money than family. We started digging deeper. Who were these doctors? What kind of research was this? Zara found articles, quiet lawsuits, women claiming they were used without consent. Just like me, some of the women had mysteriously disappeared. Others were paid off. My hands trembled as I read their stories. What if I was next? What if they came after me? Zara convinced me to go to the media. If you expose them, they won't be able to hide anymore. But I wasn't ready to go public. Not yet. Instead, we found a lawyer, someone who specialized in medical rights cases. When I told her everything, she stared at me in silence. You need protection, she said flatly. She gave me a burner phone, told me not to trust anyone, not even family. This isn't just unethical, it's criminal. And these people have deep pockets. I met her again the next day. There's something else, she said, sliding over a document. A confidential donor contract signed by my father. He wasn't desperate. He was involved. My own dad didn't just agree, he volunteered me. He treated me like a science project. And now I was carrying some stranger's child without ever agreeing to it. Who's the father? I asked. The lawyer hesitated. Legally? Unknown. But the contract lists a genetic donor code, DO113. I memorized it. Whoever he was, I had a right to know. That night, I stared at my belly in the mirror. I didn't even feel like a person anymore. Just a vessel, a lab rat, a broken girl. I started having nightmares, being strapped down, doctors hovering above me, my parents watching. I woke up screaming every night. Zara started sleeping on the floor beside me. I knew I had to confront them again. So I went home. My mom opened the door, eyes puffy. Please, just come inside. Let us explain. I stayed standing. You sold my body while I was unconscious. What explanation makes that okay? My dad looked down. It wasn't about the money. Not all of it. My mom whispered, I couldn't have children after you. The contract. They promised if we helped with the trial, they'd give us another baby. Yours. My knees buckled. You were going to steal the baby? I gasped. That's why you didn't tell me, because it was never mine to begin with. My mom burst into tears. I left again. Zara hugged me tight when I came back. We're going to fix this. We'll find that donor. We'll sue everyone. I promise. The lawyer got a DNA test approved. We used my blood and traced it through an illegal donor registry online. It wasn't easy, but we finally found a match. Donor 0113. Real name, Ezra Kane. 21 years old. Former medical student. Genius. Mysteriously disappeared last year. His profile was deleted from every database. Except one. He wasn't missing. He was locked away, held in a private psychiatric facility owned by the same company that ran the fertility clinic. They were hiding him. But why? The facility was hidden in the outskirts, surrounded by tall fences and cameras. We couldn't just walk in. But Zara had a plan. We're getting you in as a patient. I hesitated. You want me to fake a mental breakdown? Not fake, Zara said. You're pregnant, traumatized, and your parents betrayed you. That's not fake. That's your truth. With the lawyer's help, I got admitted. The place was cold, eerily quiet. Nurses walked like shadows. I kept my head down and waited for a glimpse of Ezra. On my third day, I saw him. Curly dark hair, deep, tired eyes. He was seated near the window, sketching something in a notebook. My breath caught. He looked up briefly. Our eyes met. Something in him shifted. Like recognition, but how? I quickly looked away. My heart raced. Was that really him, the donor? I waited till group therapy, sat beside him, said nothing. He passed me a torn page from his sketchpad. It read, "You're not crazy." Neither am I. We started leaving notes under the art room table. That's how he told me everything. I never consented to donation. They drugged me, used me, then locked me away. Ezra had been a med intern. He discovered the fertility project's dark side and threatened to expose it. So they turned him into a donor and erased his life. He didn't know about me until now. When I told him, he was silent. Then he whispered, "I'm so sorry. They made us both prisoners." "You're carrying their evidence," I asked. "Why haven't you escaped?" He laughed bitterly. "They keep me doped. You're the first real person I've seen in a year. You're my only hope." Zara and the lawyer had been working from the outside. With enough evidence, they filed a court order to investigate the clinic and its funding partners. Meanwhile, I filmed everything in secret. Conversations with staff, security lapses, drug routines. Ezra and I mapped out blind spots in the cameras. We were planning our escape. The night finally came. We timed it perfectly during a power outage drill. I stole keycards Ezra hid in a laundry cart. My heart thudded like a drum. We slipped out through the back gate. Zara was waiting with her cousin's van. I climbed in, sobbing. Ezra clutched my hand like it was the only thing real. We hid in an abandoned cabin. Ezra detoxed from the meds over days. He shook, sweated, cried. I stayed with him through it all. The baby kicked for the first time. He placed his hand on my stomach. I never thought I'd be a father. Not like this. Not stolen. But I won't run. I'll protect you both. The company filed a missing patient report. Our faces were all over the news. They called me delusional. Said Ezra was dangerous. We were officially fugitives. But Zara and the lawyer were building a case. Whistleblowers came forward. A former nurse leaked documents proving dozens of unconscious women were used like me. It was finally happening. We were summoned to testify. I stood in court, belly swollen, voice trembling. I told the world my story. Ezra told his. The room was silent when we finished. The judge ordered a full investigation. Arrest warrants were issued. And for the first time, I felt like I could breathe again. Like maybe, just maybe, we were free. After the trial, I thought life would get easier. But healing doesn't come overnight. I still flinched when I saw doctors. Still had nightmares. But I wasn't alone. Ezra stayed by my side. He helped me decorate a tiny nursery in Zara's basement. We painted stars on the walls. I finally started feeling like a mom. The media couldn't get enough of our story. Virgin pregnancy? The headlines screamed. Paparazzi camped outside. Talk shows offered money for interviews. We said no every time. We didn't want fame. We wanted peace. But money from the lawsuit helped. I paid off Zara's house. She cried harder than I did when the check cleared. Then one night, I felt a pain so sharp I screamed. My water broke. Ezra panicked. "Now, are you sure?" I just glared at him. "Yes, I'm sure." The drive to the hospital was chaos. Ezra nearly drove into a mailbox. Zara shouted GPS directions. I was in the back seat, begging them not to kill us first. Hours later, I held my baby in my arms. A girl, tiny, warm, screaming her lungs out. And somehow, that sound was the most beautiful thing I'd ever heard. Ezra kissed her forehead. "Hi, little one. You made it." His hands shook as he held her. I saw tears in his eyes. And mine too. I named her Hope. Because she was. Hope that I wasn't just a victim. Hope that something pure could grow out of something horrible. Reporters waited outside the hospital, but we snuck out the back. We didn't want the world's pity. We just wanted to be a family. Our own quiet beginning. My parents tried to reach out. Cards, voicemails, even flowers. But I wasn't ready. Forgiveness wasn't automatic. It had to be earned. And they hadn't even apologized properly. One day, I finally picked up my dad's call. "I know I failed you," he whispered. "And I'll never stop trying to make it right. Even if you hate me." I didn't forgive him. But I didn't hang up either. That was a start. For now, I just wanted to focus on Hope and building the life she deserved. Sarah started an advocacy group for victims like me. She called it Voices. I joined as a speaker. Sharing my story helped me take back power. Ezra got a scholarship to finish medical school, but this time, on his own terms. I want to be the kind of doctor who stops this from ever happening again. We moved to a small town with fewer cameras and more quiet. Hope learned to crawl across our kitchen tiles. Her giggles healed things in me I didn't know were broken. Every year, we celebrate her birthday like it's a miracle. Because it is. She wasn't planned. She wasn't supposed to happen. But she was meant. I still have days where I cry. Days I feel like that helpless girl again. But Ezra reminds me you're not that girl anymore. You're stronger than all of them. I met other survivors. Girls who had been silenced, bribed, erased. We cried together, laughed together, and one day, we testified before the Senate. We changed the law. The fertility company was shut down. Executives were jailed. And a bill was passed no one could ever use a woman's body in research without full consent again. Ezra proposed to me on Hope's 3rd birthday. He hid the ring in her cupcake. I found it when she squished frosting on my nose. I laughed so hard I cried. Yes, I whispered, holding his hand. I'm saying yes to chaos, to healing, to all of it. I'm saying yes to you. Our wedding was small. Just Zara, a few friends, and Hope as the flower girl. She tossed petals like glitter and screamed when the music started. It was perfect. I never thought I'd find happiness after what happened. But healing isn't about forgetting. It's about building something stronger in its place, one brick at a time. Hope started school. Ezra started a clinic. I published a book. We were building a life out of the ashes, and somehow, it was more beautiful than I ever imagined. Sometimes people ask me, if you could go back, would you erase everything? I never know how to answer, because it was awful, but it made me me. And then Hope crawls into my lap, tiny hands around my neck, and says, Mama, I love you big, and suddenly, I know my answer. I was used. I was betrayed, but I was never broken. I rose. I fought, and I found something no lab, no contract, no lies could ever take away. Love. Real love. Not the kind that's bought or stolen or forced. The kind you earn. The kind you protect. The kind that grows inside you and never leaves. So yeah, I got pregnant, but I'd never even been with anyone. And somehow, that became the start of everything beautiful in my life. Not the end, the beginning.